The little boy promised, "I will marry you when I grow up." Few years later, he returned with a ring. He lived in a small town surrounded by forests, meadows, and small rivers that glittered in the sunlight. It was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone, and children ran freely along dusty roads and climbed trees without worry. Clara, who was also 8, lived a few streets away. She had soft blonde hair that fell in loose waves, and her blue eyes were always full of curiosity. She loved to read books about faraway places, but she also enjoyed playing outside, especially when Liam came along. The two of them had been friends since they could remember. Their parents often joked that they were inseparable. On a bright summer morning, Liam ran to Clara's house, carrying a small wooden stick he had found in the woods. "Clara, come on." "I found a perfect sword for our adventure today," he shouted. Clara looked up from her book and smiled. "Another adventure, Liam, you always find trouble." "Not trouble, adventure," Liam corrected, grinning. He held out the stick, pretending it was a sword. "We are knights." "And the forest is full of dragons and treasures." Clara laughed and closed her book. She grabbed a long branch from the yard, pretending it was a shield. "Fine, Sir Liam, lead the way." The two friends ran toward the forest at the edge of town. Birds sang above them, and the leaves rustled gently in the breeze. The sun shone through the branches, casting small dancing shadows on the ground. Liam and Clara climbed over fallen logs, jumped across small streams, and explored small caves that were perfect for hiding from imaginary enemies. After a while, they reached a clearing where an old oak tree stood tall and proud. Its thick branches reached out in all directions, and the roots created little seats perfect for resting. Liam climbed onto one of the roots and looked down at Clara. "This is our castle," he said proudly. "From here, we can see everything. No dragon can surprise us here." Clara giggled. She sat on another root and looked up at Liam. "And we are the bravest knights in the whole kingdom." "Of course," Liam said, "and I have a secret to tell you." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "When I grow up, I will become a great explorer. I will travel to distant lands and maybe even to space." Clara's eyes widened. "Space? You mean like real stars and planets?" "Yes, real stars," Liam said. He pointed toward the sky where the blue stretched endlessly. "And when I come back, I will still be your best friend. In fact, I promise when I grow up, I will marry you." Clara blinked in surprise. She did not know what to say. She felt her cheeks grow warm. "Marry me?" she repeated, almost laughing. "Yes," Liam said seriously, "I promise. I will come back and we will be together." He held out his hand and smiled. "Do you promise to wait for me?" Clara took his hand and squeezed it gently. "I promise, Liam," she said, "but you have to be careful if you go to space. You might meet aliens or dangerous creatures." Liam laughed. "I will be careful. I am brave. I have my knight's courage." The two of them sat under the oak tree for hours, talking about their future adventures. Liam told Clara about the planets he wanted to visit and the strange creatures he imagined living there. Clara shared stories from her books and dreams about places she had never seen. They laughed, they imagined, and for a moment, the world seemed full of magic and endless possibilities. Before leaving, Clara reached into her pocket and pulled out a small bracelet she had made from threads and beads. She handed it to Liam. "Here," she said, "keep this. It will remind you of our promise." Liam took the bracelet and tied it carefully around his wrist. "I will never take it off," he said, "not even if I am on another planet." Days passed, and the two friends continued their adventures. They explored the woods, helped neighbors with small chores, and spent afternoons by the river, watching fish swim and skipping stones across the water. Liam was always full of energy, and Clara loved his adventurous spirit. She sometimes worried about how far his dreams would take him, but she never said anything. One afternoon, Liam ran up to Clara, holding a small notebook. "Look, I made a map of all the places I want to visit. Some are on Earth and some are in space." Clara peered at the map, impressed. "This is amazing. You even drew stars and alien planets." "I will go to all of them someday," Liam said confidently. "And I will come back to you, remember?" Clara nodded, her eyes shining. "I remember." As the years went by, Liam and Clara grew older, but their friendship stayed strong. Liam continued to dream about exploring space, while Clara focused on reading and learning about the world around her. Their conversations became more thoughtful, but the laughter never disappeared. Liam often stayed up at night, looking at the stars. He imagined what it would be like to travel among them, to see new worlds, and meet beings no human had ever met before. He kept the bracelet Clara gave him close to his heart. It reminded him of their promise and gave him strength. Clara, too, kept thinking about Liam. She wondered where he would go, what he would see, and whether he would ever return. She never doubted that he was brave enough to do what he dreamed, but she sometimes worried that life might take him too far away. One summer evening, the two friends sat by the river, watching the sun set in shades of orange and pink. Liam skipped stones across the water while Clara leaned against a tree, enjoying the quiet. "Liam," Clara said softly, "do you really think you will see space someday?" "I know I will," he replied, "and when I come back I will keep my promise." He looked at her seriously. "No matter how far I go, you will always be my friend, and one day, maybe more than a friend." Clara smiled, feeling her heart beat faster. "I will wait," she said simply. The sun disappeared behind the horizon and the stars began to appear. Liam pointed at one bright star in the sky. "That star will be my guide. No matter where I go, I will find my way back to you." Clara held out her hand and Liam took it. They sat in silence, watching the stars, feeling the bond between them grow stronger. It was a simple promise, made by two children under an old oak tree, but it carried a power that neither of them could fully understand. The next morning, Liam ran off to explore the forest again, as he always did. He climbed trees, chased butterflies, and imagined himself flying among the stars. Clara watched him go, holding onto her own small dreams and the memory of his promise. Seasons changed, and their adventures continued. Liam and Clara faced small challenges, scraped knees, lost pets, and thunderstorms, but they always found joy in each other's company. They celebrated birthdays together, helped each other with schoolwork, and shared every small secret. Even when other children started to grow apart, Liam and Clara stayed close. Their promise under the oak tree remained a secret treasure in their hearts. Liam often thought about the day he would leave for his adventures, and Clara imagined the moment he would return. One chilly autumn afternoon, as leaves fell like golden rain, Liam gave Clara a small paper star he had folded himself. "This is for you," he said. "It will remind you that no matter where I go, I am thinking of you." Clara took the star and smiled. "And I will think of you too," she said. Years of friendship, laughter, and dreams passed in the small town. Liam's desire to explore space grew stronger, and Clara's heart stayed tied to him by the invisible thread of their promise. They did not yet know the challenges that awaited them in the future, but they were ready to face them, together in spirit. And under the old oak tree, where their childhood promise began, a new adventure was quietly taking root. A journey that would carry Liam far beyond the stars, but always back to the little girl who waited for him. Liam grew taller and stronger as the years passed. His green eyes were still full of curiosity, and his brown hair remained untidy, just like when he was a boy. He had not forgotten his promise to Clara, and the little bracelet she gave him was still tied tightly around his wrist. Every time he looked at it, he remembered their adventures, their laughter, and the vow he had made under the old oak tree. Clara also grew up, her blonde hair now longer and often tied back in a simple braid. She had a gentle smile and soft blue eyes that seemed to see everything around her. She loved reading and learning about the world, but she never stopped thinking about Liam. Sometimes she would take the little bracelet from a small box and hold it in her hand, remembering the boy who promised her that one day he would return. By the time they were teenagers, life in the small town had changed, but not too much. Liam's curiosity about the stars and space had grown stronger. He spent long hours in his room, building small models of rockets and spacecraft. He read books about the planets, about space travel, and about explorers who had gone far from Earth. He wanted to be like them, to see new worlds, and to discover things no one else had ever seen. Clara continued her quiet life in the town. She helped her family, worked in the local library, and read everything she could get her hands on. She sometimes wrote little notes to Liam, sending them through the mail, even though he rarely wrote back because he was always busy learning and building. Still, she waited patiently, trusting that he would keep his promise. One sunny afternoon, Liam ran to the old oak tree where they had made their childhood promise. Clara was already there reading a book. "Liam, you are late," she called, smiling. "I was busy," Liam said, slightly out of breath. He sat down beside her. "But I have something important to tell you." Clara closed her book. "What is it?" Liam took a deep breath. "I got a chance to go on a special program. It is for young explorers who want to travel beyond Earth." They will teach me how to go to space to explore new planets and to learn things no one else knows. This is my chance, Clara. Clara's eyes widened. Space, really? Yes, Liam said. It is everything I have dreamed about. But it means I will have to leave the town for many years. I might not be back for a long time. Clara felt a small ache in her heart. She nodded slowly. I understand, Liam. This is your dream. You have to go. But I promised you, Liam said, taking her hand. I will come back. No matter how far I go, I will come back to you. Clara smiled through her sadness. I will wait, she said softly. The days passed quickly. Liam worked hard to prepare for the program. He studied math, science, and engineering. He learned about spacecraft, navigation, and survival. His teachers were impressed with his dedication. Even though he was young, he had a sharp mind and a brave heart. Clara continued her life in the town, but she always thought about Liam. She wondered what he was learning, where he was, and if he was safe. She kept the little bracelet he had given her, a symbol of their friendship and the promise that he had made. The day came when Liam had to leave for the space program. The whole town came to say goodbye. Families hugged him, friends waved, and teachers wished him luck. Clara stood near the old oak tree, holding his hand tightly. Be safe, she whispered, and remember your promise. I will, Liam said. I will make you proud, and I will come back to you, Clara, always. He hugged her tightly, then turned and walked away, leaving the small town behind. Clara watched until he disappeared from sight. Her heart felt heavy, but she believed in him. She believed in his promise. Liam traveled to the training center, a large building filled with young explorers from different parts of the country. They were all smart, brave, and eager to see the stars. Liam quickly made friends with a few of them, sharing stories about his small town, his adventures with Clara, and his dreams of exploring new worlds. The training was difficult. Liam had to learn to live in zero gravity, to handle machines and computers, and to make important decisions in stressful situations. Some of the tasks were dangerous, and mistakes could be very costly. But Liam did not give up. He remembered Clara, the bracelet, and the promise he had made. They gave him strength. One day, the instructors told the group that they would begin simulations for a real space mission. Liam's heart raced with excitement. He imagined himself flying among the stars, discovering new planets and finding strange creatures. He also thought about Clara, hoping that she was safe and waiting for him. During the simulations, Liam showed remarkable skill. He solved problems quickly, remained calm under pressure, and often helped others when they struggled. The instructors began to notice him as one of the best young explorers in the program. Meanwhile, back in the small town, Clara continued her life. She worked in the library, helping children find books and teaching them about the world. She missed Liam, but she did not let her sadness stop her. She kept herself busy, reading, writing, and learning. At night, she would sometimes look at the stars, thinking about Liam and the adventures he must be having. One evening, Clara received a letter. It was from Liam. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Dear Clara, the letter began, I am learning so much here. Every day is a new adventure. I think about you always. I hope you are safe and happy. I promise one day I will return to you, just like I promised under the oak tree. Yours, Liam. Clara held the letter close to her heart. She felt tears in her eyes, but they were tears of happiness. Liam had not forgotten her. He had kept his promise, even if he was far away. Months turned into years. Liam trained, studied, and prepared for missions that would take him to places most humans had never been. He faced many challenges, some of them dangerous, some of them lonely, but he never gave up. He thought of Clara often, imagining her waiting for him, holding the little bracelet and believing in him. Clara continued to grow into a kind and thoughtful young woman. She became more confident in herself, more independent, and more caring toward others. She never stopped thinking about Liam, but she also learned to live her life fully, helping her community and learning new things every day. One day, Liam received the news that he had been selected for a special mission. It was a real space expedition to explore a planet that no human had ever visited. Liam was overjoyed. This was the chance he had always dreamed of. But he also felt a small pang of sadness, knowing that he would be even farther from Clara for a long time. Before leaving, Liam wrote a letter to Clara. I am going on the mission, he wrote. I will see things that no one else has seen. I will be careful. And I will return to you, always. Clara received the letter a few days later. She read it carefully, her heart full of pride and worry at the same time. She folded the letter and placed it in a safe place next to the little bracelet Liam had given her. She whispered to herself, "I will wait. I will always wait for you, Liam." The day Liam left for space arrived. The town gathered to say goodbye once again. Liam hugged his parents, teachers, and friends. He waved to the neighbors and promised to write letters whenever he could. Then he looked for Clara. Clara was standing near the oak tree, holding the bracelet tightly. Her eyes were filled with tears, but she smiled bravely. "Goodbye, Liam," she said softly. "Be safe." "I will," Liam replied, "and I will come back to you." He boarded the spacecraft, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The engines roared to life, and the craft slowly lifted off the ground. Liam looked out of the window, watching the town shrink below him. He thought of Clara, of the oak tree, and of the promise that had started everything. As the spacecraft soared into the sky, Liam felt a sense of freedom he had never known. The stars were closer now, shining brightly like tiny lanterns in the dark. He imagined the new worlds he would see, the creatures he might meet, and the knowledge he would gain. But through it all, he never forgot Clara. She was the reason he was brave, the reason he kept going, and the reason he promised to return. Every twist of the spacecraft, every challenge in training, every new discovery reminded him of her, and the day they had made their promise under the oak tree. Clara, back in the small town, watched the night sky every evening. She imagined Liam among the stars, thinking of her, dreaming, learning, and staying safe. She believed in him completely, and she waited patiently for the day he would return. Years passed, and Liam continued his journey through space. He faced dangers, solved problems, and learned things that no human had ever known. He became brave, clever, and respected by everyone who worked with him. Yet no matter how far he traveled, he always kept the bracelet close to his heart. And every night he looked at the stars, imagining Clara waiting for him. The promise he had made as a boy gave him courage, guiding him through the darkness of space and the unknown challenges that lay ahead. Liam's journey into space was both exciting and challenging. The spacecraft moved silently among the stars, carrying him farther from Earth than he had ever imagined. The view from the windows was breathtaking. He could see distant suns shining like diamonds in the dark, planets spinning slowly, and strange, glowing clouds of gas that looked like painted skies. Every moment reminded him of the promise he had made to Clara. The crew of the spacecraft was small but skilled. There was Ethan, a tall boy who loved machines and could fix almost anything. Maya was quiet and thoughtful, always observing everything carefully. Nora was cheerful and brave, often making jokes to ease tension during difficult times. Liam quickly became friends with them, sharing stories of his small town, his adventures with Clara, and his dreams of exploring new worlds. Training in space was hard. Liam had to learn to move in zero gravity, to use complex machines, and to make quick decisions in emergencies. The instructors tested the crew constantly, simulating dangerous situations like meteor storms or system failures. Liam faced each challenge with determination. He remembered Clara and the bracelet on his wrist, and they gave him courage when fear appeared. After months of preparation, the crew received their first real mission: to explore a newly discovered planet at the edge of the solar system. The planet was covered in strange forests and mountains, with rivers that shimmered with a blue glow. Scientists had detected unusual energy readings, and no human had ever set foot there. Liam's heart raced with excitement. This was exactly what he had dreamed about. The spacecraft landed carefully on the planet's surface. Liam stepped out and felt the ground beneath him. It was different from Earth. The soil was soft, almost like velvet, and the air had a faint, sweet smell. Tall trees with glowing leaves surrounded them, and small creatures with shining eyes peeked from the bushes. Liam felt a mixture of wonder and nervousness. "Be careful," Ethan said, checking his equipment. "We don't know what lives here." Liam nodded. "I will." He took a deep breath and looked around. His eyes were wide with excitement. Everything was so new and strange. He felt alive in a way he had never felt on Earth. The crew began exploring. Liam used his knowledge from years of study to examine the plants, rocks, and rivers. He noticed that some plants reacted to movement, closing their leaves when touched. Some rocks seemed to hum softly when tapped. He carefully recorded everything, knowing that this information could help humans understand the planet better. One afternoon, while exploring a small forest, Liam noticed a strange movement near a glowing tree. A creature appeared. It was small, with a round body covered in soft fur that shimmered in colors of blue and green. Its eyes were large and curious, and it looked at Liam without fear. Liam slowly knelt down. "Hello," he whispered. The creature tilted its head, studying him. Liam extended his hand, and after a moment the creature stepped closer, sniffing his fingers. Liam smiled. "You are friendly," he said softly. The creature seemed to like Liam. It followed him as he moved through the forest, and he gave it a small piece of food. He named it Lumo because it glowed slightly in the dark. Lumo became Liam's companion on the planet, always staying near him during explorations. As days passed, Liam and the crew faced challenges. The weather on the planet could change suddenly, with strong winds and electric storms that lit the sky in bright colors. Some areas were difficult to cross, with rivers that moved faster than they expected or soft ground that swallowed their boots. But Liam used his intelligence and courage to guide the team. He built small bridges over rivers, created safe paths through forests, and solved problems when machines stopped working. The aliens on the planet were cautious of humans. Some of them were large and strange, with multiple legs and sharp claws. Others were smaller and quicker, moving in ways that humans could not predict. The crew had to be careful, but Liam's calm and clever thinking often helped them avoid danger. He noticed patterns in the creature's behavior and used them to keep everyone safe. One evening, Liam stood near the glowing river looking at the stars. He thought about Clara. He missed her deeply. He remembered their promise and whispered to the night sky, "I will come back to you, I promise." Nora walked up to him. "You talk to someone far away, don't you?" she asked softly. Liam nodded. "Yes, someone very important," she smiled. "I think that is a good thing. It keeps you strong." Liam looked back at the river, watching the small creatures move along the banks. "She believes in me. That is why I must be brave." Days turned into weeks. Liam and the crew discovered amazing things on the planet. They found glowing plants that could light up the dark, rivers with water that seemed to heal small cuts, and caves filled with crystals that reflected light in beautiful patterns. Every discovery reminded Liam of how special humans were, how clever and strong they could be when they worked together and never gave up. One day, the crew faced a real danger. A sudden storm hit while they were exploring a canyon. The winds were strong and the ground shook. Rocks fell from above, and the crew had to move quickly to avoid getting hurt. Liam used his quick thinking to guide everyone to a safe cave. They waited inside as the storm raged outside. When the storm ended, Liam and the crew stepped out. The canyon was changed. Some paths were blocked and new rivers had formed. Liam studied the changes carefully. "We can still continue," he said. "We just have to adjust our plans." His leadership impressed the crew. They trusted him not just for his knowledge, but for his courage. He faced fear without giving up. He stayed calm when others panicked. And always, he remembered Clara, keeping the bracelet close to him. Liam also learned that humans could adapt in ways aliens could not predict. When the creatures tested them, humans used tools, machines, and clever thinking to solve problems. Liam felt proud. Humans were small compared to the universe, but they were brave, smart, and strong. He could see why humans could survive in places others thought impossible. One night, Liam sat outside the base camp, looking at Lumo playing near the glowing river. He thought about his home on Earth, the town, the oak tree, and Clara. He wondered what she was doing at that moment. Was she looking at the stars too? Was she thinking of him? He smiled, feeling a warm sense of hope. Ethan joined him. "You think about her a lot," he said, sitting down. Liam nodded. "She is the reason I am here, the reason I am brave. I promised her that I would come back, and I will, no matter what." Ethan smiled. "That is a good reason. I hope she knows how lucky she is." As weeks passed, Liam grew stronger, smarter, and braver. He learned to communicate with some of the planet's creatures, understanding their patterns and behavior. He and Lumo became inseparable, exploring together and helping the crew stay safe. One day, while climbing a mountain, Liam discovered a cave with strange markings on the walls. The symbols were not like any human writing he had seen. He carefully recorded them, realizing they might be a way for the planet's creatures to communicate. "This could be important," he said to the crew. "If we understand these symbols, we might learn how to live safely here and protect ourselves." Nora looked at him, impressed. "You are always thinking ahead," she said. Liam smiled. "I have to. This planet is full of surprises. We must be ready for anything." Through every challenge, Liam never lost hope of returning to Clara. The bracelet on his wrist reminded him of the promise. The memories of their adventures, their laughter, and their friendship gave him strength when fear or doubt crept in. He felt that no matter how far he traveled, the bond between them was unbroken. One evening, after another long day of exploration, Liam looked at the stars. The planet's sky was different from Earth's, filled with strange constellations and glowing clouds. He felt a deep connection to the universe, but also to Clara. "I will come back to you," he whispered again. "I promise." The crew watched him quietly. They understood that his determination was not just about exploration. It was about love, friendship, and the courage to keep promises. Humans could travel far, face dangers, and adapt in ways that even the planet's creatures could not predict. Liam felt proud of being human. As the days passed, Liam and the crew continued their exploration, making new discoveries, solving problems, and learning more about the strange planet. Every success reminded him of the power of humans, their intelligence, bravery, and heart. And every night he thought of Clara, holding on to the promise he had made under the oak tree so many years ago. He knew that one day, after all the adventures, after all the discoveries, he would return. He would keep the promise, and the little girl who waited for him would finally see the boy who had grown into a brave young man. And in that moment, he felt that everything he had done in space had meaning. It was all leading him back to her. Liam's journey through space had lasted many years. He had seen planets with glowing forests, rivers of light, and strange creatures no human had ever imagined. He had faced storms, solved problems, and grown in courage and skill. But even after all the adventures, all the discoveries, and all the danger, his heart remained tied to one person, Clara. At last, the day came when Liam was able to return to Earth. The spacecraft entered the atmosphere, shaking slightly as it passed through the clouds. Liam looked out the window, recognizing the familiar blue and green of his home planet. A smile spread across his face. He was finally going back to the small town, to the oak tree, and to Clara. When the spacecraft landed, Liam stepped onto the familiar soil. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the years he had spent in space. He felt proud of everything he had accomplished, but more than anything, he felt the joy of finally returning home. The town had changed slightly. Some houses had new paint, new families had moved in, and the streets were busier. But some things remained the same. The old oak tree at the edge of town still stood tall, and the fields where Liam and Clara had played were still open and green. Liam walked through the town, his eyes searching for Clara. He wanted to see her immediately, to know that she was still the same kind, brave, and gentle girl he had promised to return to. Finally, he reached the old oak tree, and there she was. Clara, standing under the branches where they had spent so many childhood afternoons. She had grown into a young woman, her blonde hair shining in the sunlight, her blue eyes calm and thoughtful. She was still holding the little bracelet Liam had given her years ago. Clara looked up, sensing someone approaching. Her eyes widened and a smile spread across her face. "Liam," she whispered, almost afraid it was a dream. "It's me," Liam said, his voice full of emotion. He ran toward her, feeling as though no time had passed at all. "I promised I would come back." Clara dropped the bracelet into his hand. "And you did," she said, tears filling her eyes. "You really came back." They hugged tightly, holding on to each other as if the years apart had never existed. Liam felt a rush of warmth and relief. He had faced the unknown in space, fought storms, and survived challenges no human had before, but nothing compared to this moment. He had returned to Clara, keeping the promise he made as a boy. They sat under the oak tree, talking for hours. Liam told Clara about his adventures in space, about the strange planets, glowing rivers, and the creatures he had met. He told her about Lumo, the small glowing creature that had been his companion, and about the storms and challenges he had faced. Clara listened with wide eyes, amazed at everything he had done. "You were so brave," Clara said softly. "I cannot believe all the things you have seen." Liam smiled. "I was brave because I knew I would come back to you. That promise gave me courage every day." Clara reached out and held his hand. "I never doubted you," she said. "I always believed you would return." The town soon heard that Liam had returned from his space adventures. Neighbors and friends came to greet him, amazed at his stories and proud of his accomplishments. Children listened to him with wide eyes, asking questions about the stars, planets, and creatures he had seen. Adults admired his bravery and skill, seeing in him the human ability to achieve great things, even against impossible odds. But Liam's attention remained on Clara. He wanted to spend every moment with her, sharing his life, his experiences, and finally, his heart. They walked together through the fields where they had played as children, laughing at old memories and imagining new adventures. One afternoon, they returned to the river where they had spent countless hours skipping stones. The water looked the same, yet it felt different now, as if it had waited for them both to return. Liam picked up a smooth stone and skipped it across the water. Clara did the same, laughing as the stone bounced and skipped. "It feels like no time has passed," Clara said. "Yet everything has changed," Liam replied. "I have seen worlds beyond our own, but nothing was as important as coming back here to you." The sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Liam turned to Clara, taking both of her hands in his. "There is something I have carried with me all these years," he said softly. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, shining ring. Clara's eyes widened in surprise. "Liam, is that?" Liam nodded. "I promised you when we were children that I would come back and be with you. I have traveled across the stars, faced dangers, and learned so much, but I have never forgotten you. I want to keep my promise in every way. Will you marry me?" Tears filled Clara's eyes as she nodded. "Yes, Liam, yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger, holding her hand gently. They hugged, laughing and crying at the same time. The years apart, the adventures, the dangers, they all led to this moment. Liam had returned, and the promise was fulfilled. In the days that followed, Liam and Clara spent every moment together. They walked through the town, shared meals with families, and enjoyed the simple beauty of life on Earth. Liam's stories of space fascinated everyone, but his heart belonged entirely to Clara. They planned their future together, dreaming of new adventures, both on Earth and perhaps one day among the stars again. Liam often thought about the lessons he had learned in space. Humans were small in the vast universe, yet their courage, intelligence, and determination allowed them to face incredible challenges. He had seen things no one had imagined, and he had survived because he never gave up. Clara had been his guiding light, the reason for his bravery and the symbol of hope that kept him moving forward. Clara, too, felt the strength of their bond. She had waited patiently, believing in Liam and the promise he had made. She saw in him the power of human determination and the beauty of keeping one's word. Their love was not just about romance. It was about trust, loyalty, and the courage to face the unknown together. One evening, they returned to the old oak tree. The leaves rustled gently in the breeze, and the sky was filled with stars. Liam held Clara's hand, looking up at the night sky. "I have seen worlds beyond imagination," he said, "but nothing compares to this, to being here with you." Clara smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "I always knew you would come back, and now we can face the future together." The stars above seemed to shine brighter that night, as if celebrating the return of the boy who had promised and the girl who had waited. Liam and Clara sat under the oak tree for a long time, talking about their dreams, their future, and the adventures they still hoped to have. Liam knew that life would not always be easy. There would be challenges, responsibilities, and moments of doubt. But he also knew that together they could face anything. Their bond, forged in childhood and strengthened by years apart, was unbreakable. Clara looked at Liam, her eyes full of love and admiration. "We have so much to do, so much to see," she said. "I am glad we can face it together," Liam smiled. "And I will always keep my promises, always." As they walked back to the town hand in hand, the future seemed bright and full of possibilities. Liam had returned from the stars, but his greatest adventure was just beginning. The adventure of life and love with Clara, the girl who had believed in him, waited for him, and now shared his heart. The town welcomed him back as a hero, the young explorer who had faced the unknown. But to Liam, the greatest achievement was keeping the promise made under the oak tree so many years ago. He had journeyed through the stars, faced dangers, and grown into a brave and wise young man. Yet, it was the simple act of returning to Clara that filled him with the greatest pride and happiness. Together, Liam and Clara began to build a life filled with love, trust, and dreams. They would walk through the days and nights, always remembering the past, enjoying the present, and looking forward to a future where they could share everything. Even as the sun set and the stars appeared in the sky, Liam felt a deep sense of peace. He had returned to Clara, kept his promise, and discovered that the greatest adventure of all was love, patience, and the courage to never give up. Liam and Clara had returned to the oak tree many times since he came back. Each visit reminded them of the promise made so long ago, of childhood laughter, and of dreams that had carried them through the years. But now, their connection was deeper. They had grown together in spirit, even while miles apart, and their bond had survived time, distance, and the unknown challenges of space. The town celebrated Liam's return. Children crowded around him, asking questions about the stars, planets, and strange creatures he had seen. Adults admired his courage and skill, recognizing how much he had accomplished. But for Liam, the attention did not matter as much as Clara's smile, the warmth in her eyes, and the feeling that he had finally come home. Clara and Liam spent their days exploring the small town and the fields surrounding it. They laughed as they ran through the meadows, remembering old games and creating new adventures. Sometimes they returned to the river, skipping stones just as they had as children, but now with the experience of years behind them. The simple joy of being together felt richer, full of meaning and deeply comforting. One morning, as sunlight filtered through the oak tree's leaves, Liam took Clara's hand and led her to a quiet spot near the river. "I want us to make a promise today," he said softly. "A promise for our future." Clara looked at him curiously. "What kind of promise?" Liam knelt on one knee and held the small, shining ring in his hand. "I promised you when we were children that I would come back and be with you. I have traveled across the stars, faced dangers, and learned so much. But my heart has always belonged to you. Clara, will you marry me?" Clara's eyes filled with tears. She nodded, unable to speak at first, then whispered, "Yes, Liam, I will." Liam placed the ring on her finger, holding her hand gently. They hugged, laughing and crying at the same time. The years apart, the adventures and the challenges, all of it had led to this moment. Liam had returned and their promise was fulfilled. The next days were filled with joy and preparation. The townspeople helped them plan a simple ceremony under the oak tree, surrounded by friends, neighbors, and family. Children placed flowers along the path leading to the tree, and soft music filled the air. The sky was bright and clear, the perfect setting for a day that celebrated not just love, but patience, courage, and human determination. On the day of the ceremony, Liam and Clara stood beneath the old oak tree. Liam looked at Clara, seeing both the little girl who had waited for him and the strong, kind woman she had become. Clara looked at Liam, seeing the boy who had promised, the brave young man who had journeyed to the stars, and the man who now shared her life. The ceremony was simple but beautiful. They exchanged vows, speaking from the heart. Liam promised to always protect Clara, to share adventures, and to love her through all the days of their lives. Clara promised to stand by him, to support his dreams, and to keep their love strong. The townspeople cheered, and the sound of laughter and joy filled the air. After the ceremony, Liam and Clara walked hand in hand through the fields where they had played as children. The air was fresh, the sky painted with soft clouds, and the sun warming their faces. They stopped at the river, watching the water shimmer in the sunlight. "It feels like we are still children," Clara said, smiling. "Yes," Liam replied, "but now we have grown. We have faced challenges, seen wonders, and returned to each other stronger than ever." They spent the afternoon talking about their future. Liam shared his plans for more explorations, hoping one day to travel to new planets again. Clara listened, excited but calm. "I will always be with you," she said, "and I will help you whenever I can, but I am glad we are home now." Liam nodded. "I have learned so much from space. Humans are capable of amazing things. But the greatest lesson I learned is that love and trust make us stronger than anything else. And you, Clara, gave me that strength." As evening came, they returned to the oak tree. The leaves rustled gently in the breeze, and the first stars began to appear in the sky. Liam and Clara sat together, holding hands, feeling the calm and peace of being home. Liam thought about all the adventures he had faced, the glowing forests, the strange creatures, the storms and challenges. Each memory reminded him of human strength and ingenuity. Humans were small in the vast universe, but they were brave, clever, and resilient. And now he had a new adventure to share, a life with Clara. Clara leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you ever think about space?" she asked softly. "All the time," Liam replied. "But the stars are not as important as this moment here with you. Space taught me courage, patience, and determination, but love taught me everything else." The night deepened, and the sky filled with stars. Liam and Clara made plans for their future together. They dreamed of traveling, building a family, and sharing life's simple joys. They talked about everything, from small daily routines to big adventures beyond the stars. Liam often showed Clara the small glowing stone he had brought from one of the planets, and the pictures he had drawn of the alien landscapes he had explored. Clara listened with wonder, proud of his achievements, and eager to share her own experiences of life in their town. Together, they created a balance between adventure and home, between dreams and reality. The years passed, but their love remained strong. Liam continued to inspire the town's children with stories of space, courage, and discovery. Clara worked alongside him, teaching the value of patience, loyalty, and friendship. Their story became a legend in the town. The boy who promised and the girl who waited united at last. One quiet evening, Liam and Clara returned to the river. The water shimmered in the moonlight and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. They sat together, hands intertwined, and watched as the stars reflected in the river. "It feels like everything led us to this moment," Clara said. "Yes," Liam replied. "Every adventure, every challenge, every step away from home was for this, to return to you and to build our life together." Liam held Clara close, feeling the warmth of her presence. "We have so much to see, so much to do," he said. "But no matter where we go, we will always come back here, to each other." Clara smiled. "Always," she said softly. The stars above seemed to shine brighter that night, as if celebrating the love of two people who had waited, dreamed, and kept their promises. Liam and Clara sat together in silence, listening to the gentle flow of the river and the soft whispers of the wind through the oak tree. Liam thought about the lessons of space: courage, intelligence, adaptability, and resilience. But he knew that the greatest lesson of all was love. Human strength and human ingenuity were incredible, but the bond he shared with Clara gave life its true meaning. Their love, patience, and trust had carried them through years of separation and uncertainty. Clara looked up at the sky, imagining the countless stars Liam had seen. "I wonder what other worlds you will visit one day," she said. "Perhaps," Liam replied. "But no matter how far I go, this will always be my home, and you will always be my heart." They stayed by the river until late at night, talking, laughing, and dreaming. The small town slept peacefully around them, unaware of the journey that had brought Liam back, or the promise that had lasted so many years. But for Liam and Clara, everything was clear. They had found each other again, and that was the greatest adventure of all. Liam and Clara continued their life together, building a home filled with love, laughter, and hope. Liam still shared his stories of space, inspiring a new generation of explorers. Clara continued her work in the town, teaching patience, kindness, and the importance of keeping promises. Together, they faced every challenge, every day, strengthened by the bond they had nurtured for so many years. Even as time passed and the seasons changed, Liam and Clara returned to the oak tree often. It remained a symbol of childhood dreams, courage, and the promise that had guided their lives. The town watched them with admiration, seeing the beauty of love, determination, and the human spirit. One evening, as the sun set and the stars appeared, Liam looked at Clara and smiled. "We have done it," he said softly. "We kept our promise. We faced the world, the universe, and every challenge, and now we have each other." Clara held his hand tightly. "And we always will," she said. The stars above twinkled like distant lanterns, and the gentle wind rustled the leaves of the oak tree. Liam and Clara sat together, their hearts full of love, their minds full of dreams, and their lives united by a promise that had begun in childhood and lasted through the stars. In the quiet of the night, they whispered to each other, sharing hopes, dreams, and the simple joy of being together. The universe was vast and full of wonders, but Liam and Clara knew that the greatest wonder of all was love, trust, and the courage to keep a promise. And so, under the oak tree, the boy who promised and the girl who waited began their life together, ready to face whatever adventures the future might bring together.